The views and opinions of this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading. Well, we ended the week of trade with some solid gains across the grains and oil seeds, plenty of news headlines, plenty of weather concerns out there, stock market news, volatility across the board, a lot to talk about. Let's take a look at the week of the trade. Joining us for a conversation, Tommy Grisafi with Advanced Trading and ATI Pro Media. Tommy, welcome back to the show. And what a week it's been. Holy grain rally here at the end of the week, my friend.
Yeah, we Connor and I, we did our little live stream this morning and we prepped for it, right? We're like, what are we going to talk about? We said, we're going to go long. Well, let's try to keep it under 20 minutes. We went a half hour. But that's one thing about doing these webinars and things. There's no time restraint. So a lot of things to talk about. Let's go through the list. Grains were up big overnight. They're not up nearly as much now. Matter of fact, just a little bit ago, and depending on how the market's closed, corn's lower, especially May corn, which is in delivery period. So grains were a lot higher coming off. Soybeans holding up, bringing it over to the wheats. Absolute huge rally in wheat. Russia weather, just had a weather report that it may rain in parts of that. But at one point, I want to say, just quote me if I'm wrong or correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had border trade wheat up 25 monster day for wheat, not holding it. Bring it over to cattle. Whew, I don't think the cattle guy can get through this week fast enough. Thank God that we did not get any positive tests in the meat supply. It would have rocked the world. Not that anything was wrong with it, but that the perception be horrible right before grilling season. You know, all the crazy media channels would scare people. And so nobody, everyone go eat a big steak, chicken, go eat all the meat you want. Only half cook it if you want. You're going to be fine. I know I like a medium rare steak. All right. We get through the meats. A lot of bad things could have happened. We move over to financial markets. Interest rates are still high, but the unemployment number came out. We call that NFP, non-farm payrolls. The stock market absolutely exploded because less jobs were created. And because less jobs were created, the Fed could lower rates, which is so counter. We could do an hour show about that. Last but not least, Apple had earnings after work. That got the stock market explosion started. Apple going to buy back $110 billion worth of their stock, 999 in M's in a B, and they're buying 110 B's of their stock value back. Incredible amount of money. So here we're fighting just with corn up 6, down 2, and Apple's casually buying the whole entire United States corn crop and the whole United States wheat crop all in one swipe of the pen.
So much volatility, and it's amazing, you know, what we could see in a week's time or even in a day's time. And Tommy, thinking about corn and soybeans, you kind of alluded to this here, and I know the May contracts in delivery. I felt like Friday, some of that rally started to fade, just probably some farmers selling. Talk about what you've maybe thinking about and seeing there.
Well, I know personally, I started texting people last night, calling people, woke up early, and there were farmers with old crop who have a rain delay are like, corn market just gave me this rally. I'm going to sell it, whether it be for currently, which they might not be able to because they have to go plant the crop, or at least get that July price set and the basis is improved. A lot of good things happening out there. Not as great as we'd like, but this is, if you're waiting for the rally, we just had one. Will we continue to go? Well, tell me what the weather's going to be like in a week or two. But we got that relief rally. That was great. But when you look over at the May contract down 5, it looks like the market did its job. Spread started to rally, cash market rallied, futures rallied, kind of a little mini explosion. And then all of a sudden the farmer selling, it really feels like it. I have a text into our commercial department in advanced trading. They feel the elevator systems across America bought a lot of grain in the last 48 hours, Jess. So I 100% agree to you. The function of the markets are working. Cash, futures, options, spreads, basis, everything hit all at once. And we settled into where corn should be valued right now.
Another thought too, I wanted to run by you. You know, we've had these volatile outside markets like coffee, cocoa, gold, you name it here in recent weeks. Does it feel like maybe the funds are rolling some money out of those markets and back into traditional grain commodities here with some of these weather concerns right now, Tommy?
We've seen a lot of spreading between beans and wheat. There's so much money out there, Jesse, that they could casually come in and buy some commodity ETFs or allocate some money to the commodities because inflation's here to stay here for longer. And we did have a Fed meeting this week also, and he hinted that they're lowering rates. So if we're not lowering rates because there's this nagging inflation, then maybe commodities were undervalued, and people, as the stock market gets close again now within 3 to 4% of all-time highs, maybe people want to own the commodity sector. What happened in cocoa was just wacky. Cocoa's off 35% on the week, I think. Coffee's had a heck of a run. There's been some wild outliers there in the commodity markets. If you were doing the show 6 weeks ago, you would have talked about the big move in cotton. Cotton went from 102 all the way down to like 76. So we're not quite like in a bull market to get excited. Really, all we are in grains is where we were several months ago.
Another thought too, since you brought up the Fed, and I love talking to you about the Fed and the economy, Tommy. I think it was an Instagram reel here, the other day, and it was somebody that they were pretending to be a news person, a journalist, and well, the Fed said they're holding interest rates steady for longer, and these are the highest rates we've had in blah 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 so many years. And I said to my wife, I said, what some people in my generation and the generation just below me don't seem to understand is that where interest rate levels are right now is more normal. I think we've gotten too used to free money here, Tommy.
Very much so. But where the challenge lies and is the price to go buy a home, right? The American dream. And so 15 years ago, a home was worth so much less. The home I bought how long ago? Almost 20 some years ago, I bought this home. It was a very modest home. Many people now ask, how'd you get such a nice home? I bought it cheap 20 some years ago. It became an expensive home. I didn't buy an expensive home 20 years ago. So the price of buying a home, if something was 250, 300,000, and all of a sudden it's 750, if you have to go borrow money and pay 8-9% times 750, or say you put a couple hundred down, the amount of interest used to, that's the part we're missing, is that the amount of money to support that $500,000 mortgage is, you're going to pay double for the house over the course of the lifetime of the loan. You're going to pay for the house once, the real price, and then the interest. Now, you and I grew up in a small town, and where you grew up, there are still homes in those small towns down the street for 125, and maybe they need windows and work and carpet, but you can still go in rural America and buy a nice small 3-bedroom home for a fair amount of money. But everything else is expensive. New pickups, new homes, everything's really expensive in my opinion. And I have compassion towards that, because it's to the American farmer, they need the market to rally because all their inputs are expensive. The equipment, some things have come down, chemicals and some stuff, but labor's a real problem. So when you talk about that non-farm payroll and the scenario you're talking about with value, labor and labor inflation is what people don't realize. They say, oh, inflation of the price of goods went up. One of the number one services and goods is all of us working, and we're still having to pay people a lot to go to work, and that's not going to stop.
No, I appreciate that explanation, Tommy. Good thoughts there, and I think you and I are on the same page on that one. Let's wrap this up and bring it home here today. Thinking about all of this and the continued volatility and inflation higher for longer, and the cost of inputs you brought up, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, give us some wisdom here in terms of what do we have to do on the farm and ranch to manage our risk here when things are so volatile still.
Well, if you were patient or doing what we call store and ignore, you're getting that window of opportunity to lay off some risk, not only for 23 selling the old crop and setting some floors in 24. People aren't super pumped about selling 24 because they don't have it planted. Whenever we get a weather scenario like this, Jess, I like to jump to 25. I like to jump to 2025. So, hey, it's 2024. We're wet. I'm scared. Okay. So today, for accounts I work with, we sold some 2025 corn futures. So it's someone who's moved most of their 23, pretty open in 24, scared to hedge 24, move to the next year. So maybe look at your 25 note beans, your 25 D's corn. Maybe we get a big weather market here in the next 6 weeks. It'll happen quick. Get some orders out in 25 and 26 corn, because overall we have too much grain. Let me give you a scenario. Someone came out this morning and said that the Russian wheat crop's going to be smaller, which we understand. Year over year, the world's still going to produce more wheat this year than it did last year, even with Russia starting to struggle. So we're in a big production move. You add AI to that and technology and bigger equipment, we're gonna get the crop in and we're gonna produce some bushels. May not go in perfectly the way you want, but I believe between now and June 15th, it'll all get planted.
And to your point there, and you mentioned this earlier with the overnight and how we kind of faded, have those orders working because some of those orders could get filled when you're sleeping, right, Tommy?
Yeah, and commodity broker like us, you can call or text, whatever, but your elevators, they usually shut down for the night. Now people can enter orders, but put those orders in there that you're comfortable with getting sales on, and they will hopefully over time get hit. Some of the best sales of the year happen on Sunday nights. Great point, Jess.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And Tommy, give you guys a plug real quick. I know live every weekday morning at 9 on YouTube, ATI Pro Media. You and your team kind of go through the markets in real time each and every weekday, don't you, Tommy?
Yeah, we break it down live. We have a little bit of a script, but then stuff changes, like the non-farm payrolls, exports. The show writes itself because we are at 9 o'clock. The markets are open. The risks happen. It's really fun breaking it down live, giving it out for free. Advanced Trading YouTube channel. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you bet. Check it out on their YouTube channel. Learn more at advanced-trading.com as well. With that, Tommy Grisafi, Advanced Trading, ATI Pro Media. Tommy, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon, my friend.
Have a great weekend.
Make sure to subscribe to the Market Talk YouTube channel. You can watch our latest interviews with top market analysts in the country, find bonus content, and much more. It's easy. Just go to youtube.com/@MarketTalkAg and hit the subscribe button. Or you can search for Market Talk Ag on YouTube.